Hello, glorious scrappers. Did you miss me? I've been absent from the channel and I'm sorry about that, but I'm here right now with my Dunkin' iced coffee and my sketchbook, and I am ready for the next sketch, which is going to be on page 67 of your 101 sketches. I'll show you the cover. 101 Scrapbooking Ideas and Sketches for this year's Sketch Club. And as you know, I've been working on my Nashville album, and so I needed to make a title page, and that's what I decided to do with this sketch because I had an idea in my head to make a record. So that's what I did, and as it so happens, I'm going to need 2 albums for Nashville because I took so many pictures and it was such an amazing trip. So I actually made a second piece of the record, which is going to be for the second title page. You can see I have volume 1 and volume 2. So we're going to do this sketch today, and I've already done the volume 1 version of it, and you can see it's a pretty faithful adaptation of the sketch in the sketchbook, where I have the circular embellishment, and I have the cluster down here that has a ticket type, and then I have the small photos down the side. What I'm going to do is I'll have 3 on this title page and 3 on the next title page. So I'm going to go through and make smaller versions of photos that I used somewhere in the album, and they will be on here, but I'm not going to make that decision until I am completely finished. I also used one of the title cards. This is from one of the older travel packs. But I thought this geotag was perfect for a travel album. So let's take a further look at the sketch and break it down a little bit. You have your circular embellishment here, and then there's actually 2 4x6 photos, and you can see what I did with this is in place of a 4x6 photo, I used the matte from the matte pack, and I put a title where this other 4x6 photo was. I'm not really looking to feature photos on this particular layout. Of course, most scrappers are looking for the way to put the most photos on the page that they can, so feel free to substitute that. But this sketch does work really well as a title page. So let's make the volume 2 page. It's actually a different travel collection, and I already had a frame cut out from a previous page, so I don't even have to gut the page. I did already trim this one down to 11 by 11, which is the inner dimension for the background sheet here. And I wanted to make sure that I chose a color that was gonna be a good contrast for the record embellishment that I already made. By the way that I made this record, let me pull this half of it back up here. I made a full record, and I took the medium pattern and the blue blade around the outside, and that's how I cut the black circle. And then I took the center of, nope, I lied. I took the center of the same blade, the same pattern, sorry, and with the red blade, I cut inside. So the red blade cuts the closest to the pattern. So on the inside track with the red, you get the biggest circle that you can get. If it was on the outside, you would get the smallest circle you could get. So I wanted the big circle because I wanted the full dimension for the embellishment. And that's why I used the blue on the outside and then the red on the inside. Then what I did with the larger pattern is I set that on here in a couple of different places, and I used a white pen to make some of the grooves on the record because I thought that little bit really made it extra. And you know me, I like to be extra. Okay, so let's get started. Let's get this embellishment out of the way here. And I always like to put the adhesive on the frame itself rather than on the paper, because at least this way you can control the adhesive and you know that it's going to be not flowing over into empty space in here, because you don't want to put adhesive on your paper that you're putting on top and find out that it hangs over into the open space, and then you're going to have sticky spots on your layout that are going to stick in your bag if you're not attaching it right away. If you're attaching this to a page, then go for it. It doesn't matter as much. Okay, so let's go ahead, and this is an 11 by 11 paper on a 12 by 12 with a 1-inch frame cut out of it. So it's going to be about a 1/2 inch border around the entire page. And I'm big on eyeballing, you know that. So there we go. That's going to do that for me. And then we're going to start creating our other layers on the top. So I really love this compass rose paper, and I think it picks up kind of the same feel as the polka dot. It's a similar color. So from album to album, I think that's going to work out really well. Now I'm going to refer back to my sketch for this, and I will see that this piece that runs down the center as the mat over here is 6.5 by 12. So I want to cut this at the 6.5 mark. And I even just changed my cutting strip for you guys. You're so special. All right, let's get our 6.5. And that is so that it acts as a mat for the 6-inch wide photo if you choose to put it on. Again, I'm using mats from the Mat Pack, so I'm less concerned about that, but they are still 4 by 6, the two mats, the two title mats that I'm using from the Mat Packs. So I still want that 6.5 inch width so that it maintains the spacing. And then this is gonna go about 1/4 inch in. No, I think I'm gonna do the 1/2 inch in from the blue paper that's on top of the frame. So it's about 1 inch from the side. And that seems like it's not skewed enough, but when you start creating the layers, you'll see how that's all gonna come together. This is the one, the Mat Pack that I chose to use as my title. So you can see it's perfectly framed out to go over here. And then this piece is gonna go up here. I'm thinking that I might switch it up a little and move this up towards the top a little more than the original page, which is where I had a title on the first one, which lines up with the sketch, but I'm gonna adapt it a little. I'm gonna slide this up, and I think whatever I end up using as my title is gonna go down here, just for a little bit of difference. So the next thing I wanna do is I wanna make my mats that go over here on the left-hand side, and we're looking at using, 3 by 3 photos over here. So those mats, if you refer back to the sketch, they're 3¼ by 3¼ So this is a smaller mat. It's just a hint of color rather than, the mat that goes, the matting that goes a full 1/2 inch bigger. So you have a full 1/4 inch around. You're only going to have an 1/8 inch around in this case. So we're going to do 3 mats that are 3¼ And if you are doing photos on this page and you want to maximize the impact of your photos, then just don't mat them. That's okay. Not everything has to be matted. And sometimes it's good not to mat everything, because when you don't mat everything, what you do is you lighten up your page a little bit with all the paper. When you put 40 some pages in an album, and every single page is full of layers and matted photos, then it reaches the point where it's really thick and maybe a little too heavy to comfortably view. So that's one way that you can avoid doing that. When you work directly in the album, you can even work directly. Don't forget, we'll go old school here. You can work directly on the page, and you can use a white background, and that's okay too. So keep that in mind too, as another way that you can lighten the load occasionally and maximize the number of pages that you can fit in your album. All right, By the way, in case you didn't notice, what I used was the new Creative Memories mini alphabet stickers that just were on the promo a couple weeks back in gold. So on the other one it says Nashville, on this one it says Music City, and then the volume 2. So I thought that was a nice way to get Nashville's nickname in there too. And I'm just gonna seat this. Actually, I think what I'm gonna do is lift this up first. And I'm gonna tuck my record just a little tiny bit under the edge of the mat, because no matter how carefully you trim your half circle, there's usually, and however carefully you apply your layers, there's usually just a little hint of the edge that doesn't quite line up. So we're gonna do that to make sure that it's a nice clean edge there. It shows a little bit less because of the fact that this is white on white here, but still you wanna make sure you don't see any of that rust color between the black edge and the matte pack, or the matte card. Okay, let's start applying these mats. I love this gingham that goes with this particular collection. This was a really nice travel collection, and I did not use it as much as I might have, because a lot of the travel theme on it is European rather than generic travel. And I haven't recently gone to Italy or France or anywhere in Europe. And so some of that global stuff I'll save for when the next time I actually make that kind of a trip, which could be a while. I haven't done that since I was in college. So anyhow, okay, this is the basic construction of the page that we have now. Let's take a look at the sketch again. And you can see, again, I'm following it fairly faithfully, and this is going to be the opening page. So I want the title and things like that to be, you know, right at the point where you're going to be turning the page open. So that's why I didn't swap this part from left to right. I kept it on the left-hand side. And now I'm going to use the stickers from this pack to create my little embellishment clusters here and here. And I think I definitely want to bring that blue in, because that is very appropriate with this particular paper pack. And I definitely want to use this as the ticket portion of my cluster. So now I'm just going to figure out what I want to have underneath. I think I'm going to do that camera again, even though I have it on the other page. And I'm going to move it up this time in my, as far as placement in my embellishment cluster goes, because it's almost the same color, and although the black does give it the contrast, I think the white will give it even a little more contrast. So this is roughly where I'm going to place this. And let's see, what else do I want to use? I actually made this trip by myself, so I don't want to use "we're on vacation." That doesn't seem logical. But I am going to put the adventure sticker on here. And this is going to go so that it kind of just overlaps here, and I can just lift that up when I'm ready to put my photos on there, and it will work out fine. And then, how about a heart? We'll put a heart over here as part of that cluster. And then up here, I'm going to have another one of those word bubble stickers. And you can see that they're not all oriented the same direction. Sometimes the little point is on the right or the left. So that may matter as part of your placement. So make sure that you check that accordingly. And I think that's going to do it. I'm going to ponder on whether or not I want to actually put a title here. But this is the page. So when you look at the two together, they are basically the same layout with just a slight variation. So that's how you can alter that sketch to be a title page or an end page if you need that last page for your album as well. As I said in the beginning, I know I've been absent, have a new job, and it's taking up more of my time than I thought, and it's leaving me with less creative juice at the end of the day. But I'm gonna get back on track now. I know I owe you a couple of sketches, so there'll probably be a few posts that are fairly close together, and then we'll be back on track. So I will post this on the Facebook page. I can't wait to see your versions of it. I'm really interested to see if you also use this sketch as a title page, or if you go ahead and make it a double page spread or just a single page spread in one of your albums. Happy scrapping, and I can't wait to see what you do.